Tactical nuke ready for launch.
Hey y'all, Sweet MTL here, otherwise known as Sophie. You're currently watching a gameplay of mine, but I thought I would take a different approach and kind of dedicate this to somebody special. So, at the same time, I'm going to talk to you about that somebody special. Back when I was younger, and I'm not saying that I'm that old, but back then things were so easy. You're single, you have very few bills to pay, you're driving your first car, and you got your favorite job, and I personally, I enjoyed everything that there was to do. So I would stay out, I would go clubbing, I would, be drinking, and I'd show up to work completely drunk when I shouldn't have. So it's not suggested, but anyways. But the best part I find about being young was being able to actually find this one man named TR. You would better off know him as Mr. Romeo Dirt. So here's a little bit of our story. My family and I, we ended up moving to an area where there was no public transportation, and little did I know that as soon as you crossed the bridge into the town that we were in, the speed limit dropped drastically. So after a few days of being there, I actually ended up getting my license suspended. So with that in mind, I thought, hey, what better time? I'll go and do the next big thing at the time, and I would start chatting on Yahoo. So I ended up finding this one particular room on Yahoo for locals in my area, and ended up being messaged by a guy named Romeo9198, and he was asking me all these questions about, beauty stuff and gift certificates and that, because he wanted to get his girlfriend something for her birthday. Now, I was nice, and yes, I was a hairdresser and, all that beauty stuff at the time, so I was answering all of his questions to the best of my abilities. Also, keep in mind, I am also single and trapped in the middle of nowhere, so I was also eager to kind of, find a way out. So we kept talking, and then, days went by, weeks, then months. And I kept asking for him to meet me. Now, being a girl and it's the internet, I've never heard of a guy ever say no before. No, I don't want to meet you. Who says that? Well, TR did, over and over and over and over to me, numerous times. Until finally, he and his girlfriend had broken up, and he surprised me and decided to say that, yes, he would meet me. Now, the thing about this whole scenario is I actually completely fell in love with this guy for the simple fact that he wouldn't meet me. He stayed true and stayed faithful to his girlfriend at the time, and to me that was really impressive. So it made me want to meet him all that much more. So, like I was saying, so he ended up breaking up with her, and, I remember being so nervous being able to go and meet him. Now, he didn't drive, and he did live with his mom, so I had my car, and thank the heavens, I had received a letter stating that my license would only be suspended at a further date, and I would still be able to use my car. So I took my car, and off I went to go and meet him. Now, it should have taken me 45 minutes to get there but it ended up taking me closer to an hour and a half, 2 hours to get there because I got completely lost. I must have called him like 5 or 6 different times asking him, how do I get to him? Anyways, so once there, I realized that he decided that we should meet at a Jamaican restaurant. So not knowing any better, I walk in there and I sit down. Now I have all these guys looking at me, staring at me. And yes, sorry, stereotypical, but I started getting a little freaked out being the only white girl sitting in there all by myself. Now that I know these guys, they're the sweetest guys in the world, but at first they could be slightly intimidating. So anyways, so I'm sitting there, and finally this big, tall, gorgeous looking white man walks in and walks completely right by me and right to the back of the restaurant. Now I'm sitting there going, well, what the hell? What about me? Is he not going to introduce himself to me? What's going on? So anyways, after he went to talk to his friend in the back, he came to see me and, he introduced himself and suggested that we should go to a quieter restaurant. So I said, okay, sure, no problem. So once at the other restaurant, we sat down, he ordered a coffee, But what I found a little, awkward and out of place was the fact that he kept calling the waitress names such as sweetheart and dear and honey, and I wasn't raised like that. Like that's more of a personal, pet names that you call people. Anyways, besides that, he was also being a ginormous freaking ass to me with his stupid sarcasm and, his humor that, well, I just didn't understand, to be completely honest with you. So I kept trying to get up to leave, and every time he would grab my arm and he'd be like, no, 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 it's okay, baby, sit down, sit down. Anyways, one time in particular, I ended up getting up and going to the bathroom, and I called my friend and I was like, oh my god, you have to come down here, you have to help me, I'm stuck with this guy, he's such a fucking loser. I'm like, come and get me, say there's an emergency, something. She was like, well, what are you gonna do with your car? I'm like, I'm just gonna leave it here. I'm like, my dad will come get it or something. Anyways, she ended up being of no help to me and left me there. Great friend. So push comes to shove, I'm sitting there, being polite and well-mannered the way my mom and dad raised me to be. But I guess the Lord had a different, plan in mind for me or whatever, so what came next was kind of, weird. We actually left the restaurant and went back to his place, or should I say his mother's place, to watch some TV. So here we are, sitting there, watching TV, which then turned into him asking for a back rub, which I just so happened to gladly do. And one thing led to another, and, well, you can use your imagination for the rest. He did things that are completely unforgettable that I just, nobody else ever did. So after that, it was late, and so we decided that we should, sleep. So he handed me one of his jerseys that he had, and we laid down next to each other, and he cuddled up right up against me, and he held his arms around me all tight and everything, and we slept like that the whole night. Now, for what was supposed to be a one-night stand was definitely turning into something that I really wasn't familiar with. So it was absolutely nice, all warm and snuggled up like that. And then I was rudely awakened by my mom calling over and over and over again till I finally answered the phone. Now, she was freaking out, going, where the hell are you? Why'd you stay out all night? And, it's your father's birthday. And I was like, oh, damn, I gotta go. So we said our goodbyes and everything. And as I was walking out the door, and he closed the door behind me, I couldn't help myself but to do this little dance of excitement in the hallway, going, yeah, I finally did it, months it took me to break through to this guy to get his attention, and I did it, I scored. Well, go figure. It wasn't like that. What was supposed to have been, a challenge complete for me, a check in my book, ended up backfiring completely. After my dad's birthday, I went back to CTR that night, and we have never been apart since. 3 kids, 9 years together, and a whole lot of damn drama. Babe, I love you with all my heart and soul. You will always be my Romeo. Happy anniversary of the day we first met, love.